Welcome to the Offensively Simple podcast. I'm your host, Barbie Carr, lead homeopath for Imago Dei Homeopathy. Join me as we demystify homeopathy by unpacking its heart. Real stories from people seeing the depths of what homeopathy was designed to bring. Healing that spans body, soul, and spirit and is truly redemptive. Okay, so welcome to the Offensively Simple podcast. Today, y'all get just me. We've had such a great time. I've had such a great time interviewing my clients and getting these real stories out to you. And I've been getting great feedback. And I'm so awesome. It's just so awesome to hear the power of another person's testimony, isn't it? To really hear what the process is like, what the struggle is like, and what the victory is like. And there is a real power that's released when somebody shares their story. And so I am beyond blessed to begin to be hearing what these people's stories are doing for you and how that is impacting. So, if you have listened to one of these, previous episodes and it's impacted you, reach out. I would comment on whatever platform you're listening on. Would love to hear just what these people's stories are doing for you and how it's impacting your life. That would be awesome. But today, it's just me, and I'm going to talk about something that has proven over and over again to be one of the biggest challenges that people face when they begin homeopathy. And it's not even like the challenge that, they might face in deciding to embark on homeopathy, whether it's acute or constitutional. I will say this, I do see this particular struggle that I'm going to talk about more in those who have embarked on constitutional treatment, the deeper chronic acting treatments, right? And that's much of what you've heard in the interviews so far are people experiencing constitutional treatment and how that's impacting them and their families and their marriages and everything, right? So I want to say that this isn't even the should I do homeopathy? What even is it? Those are all questions and struggles people can have, but this one often comes up the most after people start feeling better, believe it or not. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but this is all about mindset. And, given that I said from the get-go, this podcast is going to not just talk about homeopathy, but that we're going to talk about the gospel, the real gospel, right? Which impacts every single area of our life. So we're going to be getting into that too. But it's interesting to think that a struggle could come up and be one of the biggest ones after somebody starts feeling better, right? So here, let me give a little bit of background as to why this mindset is a struggle and how powerful it is. Now, here's the beauty about homeopathy. I want to say this first. You don't have to believe in homeopathy in order for homeopathy to work. It just works. It plain works. And one of my clients reached out to me this week and said, somebody told me that, made some comment to me that homeopathy is just a placebo. That's a very common thing. You might even be somebody who believes that, but I'm going to say this. I would so much rather take a placebo that works and brings me real results than continue to take poisons that only make things worse. So go chew on that, right? Figure that one out. But here's the thing. So mindset it permeates every area of our life. So when we're talking about, here's where the mindset comes from, and this is what I mean. So when it comes to healthcare, there really are only two big umbrellas that all of healthcare fit under. You have the allopathic umbrella or the homeopathic umbrella. Now, under the allopathic umbrella, you have obviously the whole pharmaceutical world and everything that entails, but it also includes a lot of natural things as well. It can include herbal treatments and even supplements, and I'm not saying these are bad. I'm not saying the entire allopathic umbrella is bad. There's a time and a place for mechanical medicine, y'all. Homeopathy can help your broken bone heal much more quickly. It can help with pain and swelling and inflammation, but if your bone needs to be put back into place, you're going to need mechanical medicine for that, right? If you have a large, sharp object poking out of you or into you, you're going to need mechanical medicine to take that out. But homeopathy can help you fight off infection. It can help you with pain, inflammation, all of those other things. So I am not saying that everything that falls under the allopathic umbrella is something that should be avoided. Definitely there's some things that should be. However, what I mean by that is what qualifies something to fit under the allopathic umbrella is something that treats symptom by symptom rather than looking at you as an entire person or an entire organism. So it gives something that forces the body to do something that it should be doing on its own. A lot of times you'll hear people talk about it being like they'll give something that creates an opposite effect. Let me give an example. So if it fits under the allopathic umbrella, if you have a headache, so I'm going to take this medication for the headache and I'm going to make the pain stop, right? So it's the medication isn't making the headache go away. The medication is forcing your pain receptors to stop transmitting information to say that your head hurts. Or it's going to tell the parts of your body that are inflamed for a very important reason to stop inflaming and stop telling you that they're inflamed, right? Or you have heartburn and you take an antacid. The issue isn't resolved, but the antacid has forced your acid producers to stop producing so much acid so you quote unquote feel better, right? Until it wears off. So that's what I'm talking about when it could be a natural substance. It could be baking soda. It could be, that doesn't mean baking soda is bad. That's not what I'm saying. There's a time and a place for all things, but it could be an herb. Or for a good example of that would be, say, like a bacteria. There's a bacteria. The bacteria is the problem. We have to kill the bacteria. Let's do something that's going to force this bacteria to die and slough out of your body, right? Now, of course, any kind of overgrowth of bacteria is going to be dangerous and needs to be resolved, but that does not mean that the bacteria is the issue. The issue is that susceptibility to that bacteria being a problem. And I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but so that's my point, is that it will fall under the allopathic umbrella if the system is saying, hey, I'm going to give you this for the pain in your knee, and then you're going to take this for your different levels that came back for your liver, or you're going to take this for the spiked blood sugar issue, or you're going to take this for your headaches, and then you're going to take this other thing for, so symptom by symptom, rather than looking at the entire person and figuring out what's going on there. The other thing with the allopathic umbrella, and I'm going to go over the homeopathic in a moment, but the other thing about it is that the heart of the allopathic umbrella is this belief, and it's hidden so deeply, right? It's hidden so deeply, but it believes that, like, you're broken, and you're not, those symptoms mean that you're broken. Those symptoms mean that you can no longer heal unless you take some outside force to force your body to do something. And what that produces in people is fear, right? So you become afraid of every single symptom that pops up. Your mind begins to spin, and you get on Google and you start wondering, what's going on with me? And then you get on I have to know what this is hamster wheel. I need to know why this is happening hamster wheel. And your peace goes out the door, fear and anxiety come in, and then lo and behold, your whole health, the physical symptoms get worse, and you become accustomed to this just idea that, like, oh, as long as this test result is these numbers are better, I'm healthier. What, you're still riddled with fear, you're still riddled with depression and anxiety and despair. You don't have enough energy to make it through the day. Your vitality is in the tank. But yet, your numbers and on the test are better than they were before, right? But are you really healthy? Is your body functioning at optimum, capacity? No, it's not. But we can't see that when we're under the mindset of when we're under the allopathic mindset, and we don't understand how deep and how far and how wide the tentacles of this umbrella go in us, right? The way that we have been conditioned to think about health and illness and all of it it affects so much more than you realize. And this is why I say this becomes one of the biggest challenges, is you don't understand how far they go until you start feeling better. until you start experiencing the fruit of the homeopathic umbrella that begins to just balk in the face of everything you've been taught under the allopathic umbrella. And so let me explain the homeopathic umbrella. So the homeopathic umbrella, and there are obviously homeopathy is under that umbrella, but there are other modalities that can fit. Acupuncture works very similarly, and I would put, it might kind of straddle both, but it definitely has a homeopathic aspect to it in that it's looking at the entire person and really working to support rather than to force the body to do something, right? So the homeopathic umbrella is not looking at each symptom individually and calling it the problem. It is looking at you as an entire organism. It's looking at you like a tree. So here's a great example where like the allopathic umbrella is going to look at a tree and it's going to look at these branches and these leaves that are sick, and that's all it's going to look at. It's not going to look at anything else in the tree. It's just going to look at that one patch of yellow. It's going to put some kind of cream on the leaves or some kind of spray, call it good. We'll come to find out next season, like twice as many leaves and branches are sick, like because the issue never got dealt with, right? We just made the leaves look better. Appearances, right? But the homeopathic umbrella is going to look at that entire tree. It's going to go and it's going to look at those sick leaves in detail, and it's going to say, what are you trying to tell me, leaves, about this tree? What are you saying is wrong with the tree? It's not saying anything's wrong with the leaves. It's saying you're saying something to me. While you leaves should be green and robust and bearing fruit, but you're weak and sickly and yellow. Why? Why are you that way? So it's going to look at every nuance and detail. When did these leaves turn this color? When did the weakness begin? When are they at their strongest? When are they at their weakest? All of these things, because all of that's going to give the homeopath or the person observing the tree, aka person, right, is going to give them the information to say, oh, this is what you're trying to tell me, that this tree is needing support in certain areas, right? So here's the thing. So it looks at the symptoms. The homeopathic umbrella looks at the symptoms as communication, but not just that, it goes beyond that. It's saying that it looks at those symptoms. It looks at the headache and the heartburn, and then it looks at the fact that you're depressed when you have a headache or that you're anxious when you have heartburn. It's looking at, oh, you feel hot when you're anxious, but you're freezing cold when the headaches come on, right? It's looking at, I love food when I feel great and I hate food when I don't, and I crave this and I don't like that. It's looking at every single nuance of your life. And it's saying, what are these symptoms trying to communicate? Because the symptoms aren't the problem. The symptoms are communicating that your design, the way that you were designed to heal, is working, it's functioning, it's operating, but it needs support. So this in and of itself is a huge switch, where instead of looking at symptoms as these like red alert alarms that like the symptom is the problem, the symptom is what's wrong, the symptom isn't what's wrong, the symptom is telling you that, hey, yay, I'm glad my body's trying to fix something. The symptom is a fruit of your body trying to fix something like it was designed to do, but there's something mucking it up. There's like a stick in the gear, or there's gunk in the gears, or there's a huge wall blocking the system from functioning, or there's this massive tangle, right? And so those symptoms are there repeatedly when they are, because we need something that's going to not that's going to force those symptoms to go away, but your body, your system, your emotions, all of it are telling the homeopath, hey, I can't function like I'm supposed to. Would you please give me something that will allow me to function like I'm supposed to? So kind of like your design's defibrillator to wake it up, right? So here's what I mean. In that, where the allopathic umbrella is going to give you something that's going to force the heartburn to go away, right? Well, in homeopathy, the remedy is going to the remedy isn't going to do the work. The remedy isn't going to force your system to do anything. The remedy is going to simply provoke your natural design to wake up and go, wait a minute, we should not be burning like this. Headache, you need to, like, let's turn down the dials here. So your system actually learns through the provocation of the remedy to wake up and start functioning better. It increases your vitality. It like wakes up that supercomputer. I don't know if you think about the movies where people go into these like like old abandoned I don't know, headquarters or whatever, right? And there's no power, but there's cobwebs and dust and boxes everywhere, but you can tell there was an old computer in there, and somebody finds the power switch and they flip it on, and it goes, you hear that hum because it still works. It's just been hidden underneath all this junk for so long. And so when you take your first remedy, that vitality you wake up that supercomputer, right? So it's like, okay, ow, I can function. And then the remedy gets to work to throw off the boxes and clear out the dust so that, and it clears out the susceptibility to certain things creating headaches. It clears out the generational susceptibility to certain things creating heartburn or whatever the issues are, right? And so just like in the allopathic umbrella, there was hidden underneath all of those, this medication for that, or this herb for this, or blah blah blah, that the heart of it was this fear, the fear and belief that you're broken, right? Well, in the homeopathic umbrella, the fruit of this is hope, because you realize I'm not broken, and my body is beautifully designed to heal and to function and to thrive. And homeopathy restores that hope, it restores that clarity, and it gives you the confidence and to face whatever comes, because you're not just designed to heal, you're designed to adapt, right? You're there. When we look at ourselves the way that God designed us, it's pretty asinine to think that we should be afraid of little tiny things like bacteria or viruses or mold. Like, where did we get so off in our mindsets? Where did we learn that we need to be so afraid of these teeny tiny, like no brained little tiny things? Like, why do we think that our design that was intricately and intimately woven and designed not just to heal, but to adapt and to thrive? Why would we think those teeny tiny things would be way more powerful than the design that God gave us to function and rule and reign on this earth, right? And so this is what I'm saying, like the heartbeat or the mindset of homeopathy is I was designed to heal. I was designed to adapt, and this symptom coming up is just something I need to pay attention to so I can find the remedy. I can find, like the phone update that my body needs so it can get back to doing what it was designed to do, and I can have the utmost quality of life possible. And so this is what I'm talking about when we have, one of the biggest struggles is people, I see a lot of people who come in, they're already very familiar with natural medicine. They already believe like there's something broken with how I've been raised, or there's something broken with the common ways of going about health, even somewhat even in other forms of the natural world, but so I get a lot of my clients are already in that place that, yeah, of course our bodies are designed to heal, but then they face a challenge or a deep layer comes up. Like they've been feeling better on constitutional homeopathy, right? And then they have what's called a return of an old symptom, and this fear comes up, and this maybe I'm not doing the right thing. Maybe I need, and this, what is this? What is this? Do I need to go get this test? Do I need to go do that? And I always tell people, you need to do whatever's going to give you the most peace, regardless of whatever the result is, right? So if if getting a test is going to add to your peace, regardless of what the result comes back, and then by all means go ahead and get the test. That's great, because the most important thing here is your peace. But if you know that you're only going to have peace if the result comes back one certain way, you have no control over what that result is, because Tests are just snapshots of a moment, and you take the same test 5 minutes later, you're going to get a completely different set of data because your body's always continually trying to bring homeostasis. It's always continually trying to move towards healing. So if that test result doesn't come back a certain way, if you know that's going to rob you of your peace, then you need to think about, is that test worth it? How expensive, how costly is your peace, right? And so when people begin to experience that in constitutional treatment, where that return of an old symptom comes back, and and physical symptoms are always tied to an emotional picture. Always. Don't let anybody ever tell you they're not. They always are. And so with that comes the fear or the anxiety or the grief or the depression or the pain, whatever it is. And they begin to, just go back into that allopathic mindset that I need to do something for this or I need to do something for that, rather than, well, let's just let the remedy do its work so that it can learn how to undo this layer, and then you're going to be even better on the other side. And so much of what I do for people is not just the constitutional treatment, but it's this coaching them gently through this growing out of an old mindset that's so rooted in fear. And there's really, truthfully, no way to realize how deep those fear tentacles go until you start to feel better, until you start to come out of it, and you realize the depth and breadth of how far that fear monster has just gone. And when you begin to think like from hope, and you begin to think from this, and you begin to trust the design, right? Because you guys, the reality is you weren't just designed to heal and adapt. You were designed by love. You know, leaning in. So scripture tells us in Romans 12:2, be transfigured. Now, it doesn't just say transformed, it says transfigured. It's the same word that we get metamorphosis from, which you think about the butterfly. It's the same word used when Jesus was transfigured on the mountain, on Mount Hermon, right, in the gospel. So it literally says, be transfigured by the renewing of your mind. And what I love about this is it's just proof that so that includes your body. It includes not just your mind and the way that you think and the way that you feel about things, the way that you believe, your mindset, but it will affect directly your physical health. Those generational inroads, right? If you believe that you're broken, if you believe that and you've heard this in some of my other podcast interviews where people were coming out of thinking about themselves in one way and believing certain things about themselves for so long. And then they begin to heal. They get on constitutional treatment. They begin to clear out these generational traumas and these generational inroads that created these physical susceptibilities that have tormented them and their families for so long. And now they're beginning to trust, maybe I was designed to thrive. Maybe I was designed to heal. And they begin to walk in hope. Their health transfiguration takes off. It's a direct fruit of be transfigured by the renewing of your mind. And so it's really a process of letting go of fear and leaning into the truth that you were not only designed to heal, but you were designed by love. And anything, you, being designed by love, anything that's designed by love itself isn't going to set you up for sabotage. It's going to set you up for victory, for healing, for restoration, and for adaptation. The battle has far less to do with just our bodies. When we're dealing with illness, it has so much more to do with what we believe about ourselves. What are those things that have been passed on, those beliefs that we're not even aware of, right? And so what I love about constitutional homeopathy is that it doesn't just work to heal our bodies. It doesn't just work to lift and transform our vitality. It doesn't just work to clear out generations of grief and trauma. It works to undo those. It gives us the strength. Here's how I want to word this. It gives us the strength to face the lies that we've believed about ourselves. It gives us the courage or the clarity to see the courage that we've already had, right? And it's so beautiful because I don't see homeopathy as something that adds to us. I see it as something that just cleans up what was already there so we can see our potential that we've always had for ourselves. That when you can see it, what's always been there for your own self, and you can agree with it and you can partner with it, it is so transformative. And you become everything that you were meant to be. And you get to start operating in the things that you love the most because you believe that you can, and you know that you will adapt, and you know that whatever comes your way, you can overcome. It is such a beautiful moment in someone's healing where, they've seen all of these inroads to healing, but that now they're finally starting to break through in the area of mindset. It is so beautiful. And so I just wanted to talk about this. I just wanted to touch on it. I'm not going to talk much longer, but I hope that this gets you thinking about where are the places that I have lies hidden away about my body or my kids' bodies or our health. Have I separated the mental and the emotional completely from the physical? How far have I allowed fear to just dig in there and keep me in this state of wondering, right? What is this? And what's beautiful about homeopathy is we don't need to know what it is. We already know the deepest root is probably a susceptibility that was put there by somebody's grief or trauma, whether it was yours or an ancestor's, and homeopathy is going to take care of it. So, because you were designed with this amazing design that could fix it itself, right? And so that gives you a peace of mind and that ability to lean in and to trust instead of run the hamster wheel of fear. So, Lord, I just pray that whoever's listening to this would receive the grace to trust and believe that they were not only designed to heal, but they were designed by love Himself. And that they would not only lean into that and believe it, but that it would begin to transfigure their mind about how they think about themselves, how they think about their health, and how they approach health for their family and for themselves. I pray, Lord, that this episode would provoke the listener to really dig in and question, am I going after a longevity of life, or am I going after only a quantity of life, or am I going after a quality of life? And I pray, Father, that they would go after with all of their heart and in every aspect the truth of what is available to them in both a longevity and a quality of life that you designed them to experience. And so I just speak freedom over the listeners right now in the name of Jesus, and that they would move into deeper levels of transfiguration by the renewing of their mind in every way possible in Jesus' name. Be blessed.